Funny how people unsubscribe from your life without notice. One day they swear forever, the next they're gone. But hey, if you're here, hit subscribe. It's free, unlike loyalty. I 33 am not close with my mother 55F at all. She divorced my dad 60 when I was 7 and almost immediately married my stepfather Mark. Despite everything, I was close to Mark. Their marriage lasted until I was 16, and when she divorced him, I was so upset that I chose to move in with my dad and stepmom. As an adult, I stayed close to my stepdad. I even attended his wedding to his new wife, a wonderful woman. Meanwhile, my dad and stepmom have always been great. But my mother? She has spent the years cycling through relationships, each time convinced she had found the love of her life, until something went wrong and she moved on. Her divorces from both my dad and stepdad were over petty issues. My dad apparently because he wouldn't buy her a new car due to financial constraints. The longest relationship she has had since then lasted 6 years. Now she is with someone new, and according to my sister, this one has lasted about the same length. After I left home, my mother never spent time with me unless one of her boyfriends was involved. When I was 25, she tried crying to me after a breakup, but I had already worked with my therapist to set boundaries. I made it clear, if she wasn't willing to spend time with me without her boyfriend, then she shouldn't bother at all. I also told her I had no interest in hearing about her love life. She was hurt and we fell out for a while. A year later, she came back around and respected my rule, though we now only see each other 3 or 4 times a year. Fast forward to this year. I'm marrying my partner, 35 in October. We're having a small, intimate backyard wedding with about 40 guests. My dad, stepmom, stepdad, and his new wife are all invited. When my mom asked if she could bring her boyfriend, I said no, I don't know him and I have no interest in meeting him. She asked if she could introduce us before the wedding so I could get to know him first. I refused. My stance was simple. I've never met this man before, and given her history, I see no reason to invest in yet another fleeting relationship. She became emotional, saying it was unfair that my dad and stepdad were allowed to bring their spouses while she was being denied a +1. I explained the difference. I know and respect their spouses. When she pressed, I was blunt. You've never stayed with anyone long enough for me to consider them family. Why should this be any different? She broke down crying, calling me unfair and accusing me of treating her like she was disposable. My fiancé and sister believe I should just let her bring him to make her comfortable. I'm seriously considering it, but I can't help but wonder, am I wrong for sticking to my boundaries on my wedding day? Update. After reading various perspectives, I decided to email my mother and invite her boyfriend. But I set firm conditions. He is there solely as her +1, not as my family. She must not introduce him as my stepfather, because Mark is the only person who holds that title. He will not be in any family photos, neither will Mark, for fairness. He is not to approach or engage with me at any point during the event. This does not change my existing boundaries. I made it clear that I was doing this only for her comfort and fairness, but my stance on her love life remains unchanged. I reminded her why I set these boundaries in the first place. She had consistently prioritized her relationships over her own children, forced me to engage with her boyfriends in the past, and had no interest in my life outside of her romantic endeavors. Update 2. My mother called within 10 minutes of receiving my email. She thanked me for allowing him to come and assured me that they would respect my terms. However, she was clearly upset. She said it hurt that I refused to meet her boyfriend, whom she's been with for 7.5 years. She had hoped that, over time, I would change my mind. Now she realizes that will never happen. I reaffirmed my stance. She started to cry but ultimately said she understood. She admitted that being around my dad and stepdad, both of whom have long-standing, stable marriages, made her anxious, and having her boyfriend there would help her feel more at ease. She also acknowledged that her actions in the past led to this situation. I could sense the beginnings of a guilt trip, so I politely ended the call. Final verdict: not the villain. Additional reflection. After processing this situation further, I've come to terms with why I feel the way I do about my mother. Dealing with her is exhausting. The truth is, she's a gold digger, not my dad's words, not my stepdad's words, but my own conclusion. She has openly stated that she'd still be married if they had simply given her what she wanted. She has also tried to cause conflict with my stepmom because she knows my brother and I prefer her. And it's true, I'm closer to my stepmom because she actually listens, cares, and doesn't make everything about herself. So while I've allowed my mother's boyfriend to attend, my boundaries remain firm. Some wounds don't heal and I won't pretend otherwise. My mother suffers from what I can only describe as main character syndrome. If she isn't the center of attention, she gets drunk. And that brings me to my next point. My mother is an alcoholic. 8 years ago, she was arrested for a DUI after crashing into another car. Thank God no one was hurt, but since then she no longer drives. She now lives an hour away in the city, relying on public transportation. But her drinking never stopped. At her worst, she was drinking 3 bottles of wine a day. I don't know, or care, if it's more or less now. One of my boundaries is that I refuse to be around her when she's been drinking. It stresses me out too much. And to be completely honest, I'm already expecting her to cause a drunken scene at my wedding. She has a history of destructive behavior. When my brother was 21, my mother slept with his best friend. This was a guy my brother had known since preschool, and that betrayal shattered their friendship. 8 years have passed, but my brother will never forgive her. My mother thinks he's overreacting and insists she did nothing wrong. And technically, legally speaking, she didn't. Everyone involved was a consenting adult. But morally, it was disturbing. This is also why I don't want my partner around her. She has a pattern. She dates much younger men. Her current boyfriend is 10 years younger than her, which, to be fair, is better than some of her previous choices. I don't judge her for dating younger men. That's her business. But sleeping with someone she literally watched grow up? That's a different story. Writing this out has made me realize just how exhausted I am by her. I don't want to deal with her chaos anymore. I'll admit at times I've been unfair or unreasonably harsh toward her. But the truth is she brings out the worst in me. And yet, the idea of having her more involved in my life makes me physically nauseous. Still, I don't want to completely sever ties. For the sake of keeping the peace with the larger family, my grandparents, aunts, uncles, etc., I've decided to take a page from my younger brother's book. He only interacts with our mother at family events. He's polite, distant, and doesn't engage beyond surface-level conversations. I'm going to do the same. Even if she magically got sober, went to therapy, and completely turned her life around, I know I would still see her as the same person. The woman who drinks too much, the woman who slept with my brother's friend, the woman who has always put her relationships above her children. It's not fair, to me or to her. If she truly changed, I know it wouldn't matter. The damage is already done. So, I'll make sure she's taken care of, that she's fine and healthy, but I won't be emotionally involved anymore. That's a decision no one else can make for me. I warned my mother that her boyfriend was a scumbag, but she didn't listen. After that disaster, I told her I wanted nothing to do with any of her relationships moving forward. She was furious. She accused me of being disrespectful, saying that any child should want their mother to be happy. But I was just done. Done with the constant relationship drama, done with the never-ending cycle of toxic men, done with being expected to play therapist every time another breakup happened. And now I don't want to be around my mother at all. A difficult decision, cutting ties but not completely. August 28, 2023. I've made the decision to distance myself from my mother. We haven't gotten along since I was 16, and the last several years have been unbearable. We only see each other 2 to 4 times a year, and every time we end up fighting. I've seriously considered cutting contact with her entirely. But the one thing holding me back? My grandparents. I love them deeply. They're still hurting from when my brother chose to sever ties with her. My brother has valid reasons for what he did, and he'll see our grandparents if our mother isn't there, but it's hard. They want to spend holidays and special moments with him. Now I'm getting married. And for the first time in years, my mother and brother will be in the same place. I told them both to stay away from each other, but I already know my mother doesn't like being told what she can't do. So here's my plan. I'll keep things cordial at family events, but I won't engage with her outside of them. My youngest brother does the same. I don't want to write her a letter because I know that would just escalate things. But when she eventually calls to ask to meet up, I'll say no. My wedding, my rules, the battle over alcohol. September 23, 2023. In 2 weeks, my fiancé, 35M, and I, 33NB, are getting married in our backyard. We made the decision to have a dry wedding for 2 reasons. My mother is an alcoholic. She has a long history of making a scene when she's drunk. My fiancé's brother is a binge drinker. He's had alcohol poisoning multiple times and can't stop once he starts. On top of that, my uncle and stepdad are in recovery, and they don't need the temptation. Neither my fiancé nor I are big drinkers anyway, so we decided to avoid all the drama and keep the wedding dry. Every single person in our families has been supportive, especially my uncle who has been 7 years sober. I sent out wedding invitations 4 months ago clearly stating that it would be a dry event and asking guests not to bring alcohol. And then today my mom called. Mom, is it true you're not having alcohol at your wedding? Me, yes. Fiancé and I decided we didn't want alcohol during our special time. Mom, that's so silly. It's going to make your wedding boring. Me, I'm sorry you feel that way, but we've made our decision. We want everyone to feel comfortable at our wedding. Mom, clearly you don't care about my comfort. What if I just want a little drink to pass the time? Oh, you mean like at our uncle's wedding, when you got so drunk that you called his wife a gold digger in front of everyone? Me, like you did at uncle's wedding? Mom, that wasn't my fault. They made the drinks too strong. Me, right? I really wish you'd address this need to have alcohol everywhere you go. Mom, I don't need alcohol. I just think your wedding will be boring without it. You want to have a fun wedding, don't you? Me, it will be a fun wedding. We don't need alcohol to have fun. Mom, this is so stupid. Why should everyone else be punished just to make a few people comfortable? Seems like you care more about uncle and stepdad than anyone else. Me, or maybe I just want to avoid any scenes. Mom, I just told you that wasn't my fault. Me, just like your DUI wasn't your fault? And then cue the waterworks. Mom, crying, why do you kids hate me so much? What did I ever do to deserve this? Me, are you really ready for me to go down that list? Mom, none of you understand. None of you will ever understand. I'm the mother of the bride. I should be treated better than this. Me, I hung up. I'm done. The days leading up to my wedding should have been filled with nothing but joy. Finalizing the catering, making sure my steampunk wedding suit was perfect, and feeling the excitement of marrying the love of my life. But instead, I found myself dealing with a mother who had spiraled so far into addiction and toxicity that I had no choice but to cut her out of my life. At first, it felt heartbreaking. There's a societal expectation that family should always be included, that a mother should be there for one of the most important days of her child's life. But what happens when that mother isn't capable of love without conditions? When she demands respect without giving any? When her addiction turns every moment into a battle rather than a celebration? I had tried, God knows I had tried, to maintain some semblance of a relationship. But time and time again she chose alcohol, manipulation, and selfishness over being a mother. This wasn't just about a wedding. It was about years of hurt, disappointment, and the slow realization that I could not change her. And so, I made the hardest but most necessary decision. I uninvited her. The final goodbye. Even after I cut her off, the chaos didn't stop. She was arrested after attacking her boyfriend with wine bottles, taken to a hospital where she was diagnosed with liver disease, and now she's in a near catatonic state, refusing to eat or drink. The doctors say she may not have more than 5 years left if she doesn't quit drinking. But we all know, she's not going to stop. Some might think I should feel guilt, sorrow, or regret. Maybe a part of me does, but mostly, I feel relief. I lost my mother long ago and I have grieved her loss for years. Now I choose peace, a new chapter. Despite everything, my wedding was perfect. Surrounded by people who truly love me, I laughed, danced, and celebrated the beginning of a beautiful future. My stepmom stood proudly by my side, my brothers and stepbrothers welcomed my husband with open arms, and a little hazing, and my fiancé, now husband, proved that love, when unconditional, is the greatest gift of all. And just days after our wedding, we received another gift, a positive pregnancy test. The cycle of pain and dysfunction stops with me. I refuse to pass it on. My child will grow up in a home of love, stability, and support. They will never have to question if they are enough. Does this story resonate with you? Family is not just blood. Family is who shows up, who supports you, who loves you without conditions. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away from those who only bring toxicity into your life. If this story resonates with you, tell us your thoughts. Have you ever had to cut off a toxic family member? What helped you move forward? Comment below and share your story. Like, share, and subscribe if you believe in breaking cycles and choosing peace over pain. Because sometimes the best way to honor yourself is to let go.